Hello, Internet. My name is Ryan Ingram, and this is the 6th episode of the Millionaire by 30s series. In this episode, we're going to talk about investing, specifically in the stock market. I was knee-deep in recording an episode entirely about investing, and 45 minutes later, I realized that I'd only gotten through about half of what I wanted to, and no one wanted to sit down and watch one 45-minute episode. So I'm going to break this up into smaller portions, about 4 parts. So the first part is about the stock market. All right, and quite frankly, this is one that we're all familiar with because billions of dollars are spent on an annual basis attempting to get you to invest in these. Okay, so when we're talking about investing in stocks, we're talking about buying shares of individual companies. Now, this is going to be a very high-level overview, but there are 2 main ways that you could make money when you purchase stocks. The first is that the price of the stock goes up. So let's say you buy a stock for $5, and after some period of time, that stock price rises up to $10. Now, the second way that you can make money is by dividends. And dividends are, let's say a stock price costs $6. The price is probably not going to go up much. The price of the stock, the value may rise a little bit, but these companies primarily reward their investors for investing with them via dividends. So let's say this $6 stock has a 10% dividend, then that means on an annual basis, this stock will pay you 60 cents. So that 60 cents is generally paid quarterly, or you would get 15 cents per quarter. Now, on a $6 scale, that doesn't seem so impressive, but making 10% of your money that's paid quarterly, that's not necessarily a bad way to go. Now, the stock market has been around for a very long time. People have made a substantial amount of money in the stock market. This is not my area of expertise, but I'm just laying out the foundations and kind of the framework as to why I do not believe that stock market investing is necessarily the best way to become a millionaire by 30. Okay, so now that we've covered the 2 ways to make money in the stock market, let's also talk about the ways that you can invest in the stock market. Now, you can open up an account with almost any bank specifically to invest in stocks, or you can participate in a 401k, a 403b, which is kind of the nonprofit. If you work for a school, if you're a teacher, then the 403b might be what you have instead of the 401k. You can also do a 529, which is the child education, and then you can also do the IRA. Now, what these are these are just investment vehicles. These are just like the buckets that you would put stocks in. These are not the actual stocks. These are just the vehicles of which you invest in stocks. And these come along with like government approved or like IRS approved benefits for taxation purposes. So if you invest in a 401k, you either have pre-tax or post-tax. The pre-tax, that would just be like the regular 401k. The post-tax would be called the Roth. So if you are investing in a Roth 401k, ROTH, that means that the government has already taken the taxes out of the money that's in here, and their promise is that you will never pay taxes on this money again, which in particular circumstances is a very powerful and beneficial tool to use. Same with the IRA. You have pre-tax dollars and then post-tax, or a Roth IRA. So these are just IRS approved funds that you can invest or purchase stocks through. So if you were to buy a, let's say $5 stock with a Roth IRA, and let's say you hold this stock for 30 years and now it's worth $50. You can pull that $50 out once you hit a certain age and you would not pay taxes on that $50. 529, that's a kid's college education or just tuition education. It can be used for elementary, middle school, private schooling, anything related to education for your child. Now, this is taxed if you use that money for anything other than education. Similarly, your 401k and your IRA, those are both taxed if you pull that money out prior to the time that you are retirement age. Similar with the 403b, there's like a 10% surrender penalty if it's a pre-tax fund. If it's a post-tax or Roth account, then you can withdraw all of the money that you contributed, but you still would have to pay a penalty on the gains that occurred while the money was in this Roth account. All right, so I'm not necessarily a fan of these because they don't give me the amount of control that I'm comfortable with. Again, while these might have a great benefit to several people in their situation, when I was trying to increase my net worth as quickly as possible, I did not want to do so inside of a fund of which I didn't have complete control. I'm not sure if my kids are going to go to college or not. Honestly, I don't care if they do or if they don't. They're not just going to get off scotch-free and go gallivanting around town. They have to have a plan of what they want to do. Okay, now I did personally surrender all of my retirement programs just because they did not give me the amount of control over my money that I wanted. So you can think whatever it is that you want to about that. This is just, for me, becoming a millionaire by 30, these did not give me the appropriate level of control that I was looking for. The option that I was going with prior to making that decision is I put all of the funds that I've accumulated in these accounts into a self-directed IRA and a solo 401k. So when I did that, what that allowed me to do is direct how these funds would be used. So I had a separate bank account for these, and since it was self-directed or solo, I was able to tell the money exactly what it needed to do. That gave me the ability to lend it to real estate investors to purchase rental properties with it, but it came with strict regulations, and I didn't want to spend the time to make sure I followed all of those rules. And it also created this weird dynamic where my money was in separate buckets, and each of those buckets had its own set of rules, and it didn't allow me to fully utilize all of my funds as I wanted to. I weighed the pros and the cons. I weighed paying taxes, all the surrender fees, and all of that. And then I put my 30-year goggles on and thought, man, if I could get all of my money to work together as a team towards my goal, I would be much better off. Now, I would not recommend that to somebody that is near retirement age. I don't think taking on all of these penalties would be prudent. Now, here's the last thing that I don't necessarily appreciate about stocks, especially when you're trying to become a millionaire by 30. And that is when you invest in a company via a common stock, you are at the bottom of the totem pole. And I'll explain what I mean by that. All right, now the flow of the money, when the money enters the business, this is how it goes. You have the board of directors, you have the CEO, you have any of the other C-level people, you have staff, then you have your preferred stocks, and then you have your common stocks. Now, most people, when they form an account and they sit and buy stocks, they're buying the common stocks. So this is the direction that the money goes. All of these people have to get paid before you are considered. And I get that public companies are specifically attempting to build the business and make money for the stockholders, but at this position, you have zero control over the performance of your money. You can do all the analysis on stocks that you want, but at the end of the day, all of these people have to get paid prior to you. You get paid down here, and you have zero control over what happens with your money. So for that reason, I'm not a fan of stock markets. When you are attempting to make a lot of money quickly, like becoming a millionaire by 30, then you really have to be focused on being as close to the money as possible. So you want to be as high up on this list as you possibly can. Which brings me to the last point of why I'm not a fan of the stock market for becoming a millionaire by 30. And that is simply because when you are investing your money into the stock market, $1 equals $1. We're going to have to come back to this as we talk about the other ways to invest, so please don't go away or form any opinions until you hear my full argument for this. But in a nutshell, in order to make a substantial amount of money in the stock market, you have to put a substantial amount of money into the stock market. All right, so thank you so much for watching this episode about investing in stocks and why I do not believe it's the best opportunity to become a millionaire by 30. All right, so again, this is a 4-part series. Tomorrow we will talk about investing in real estate, and the following day we'll have another part of investing. So please subscribe, like, and watch out for the next video. Thanks so much. If you have any questions, comments, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer those. Thanks so much.